Okay, so this is Baruch. I'm at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel of the land, Florida today. I'm working out of their little mini office early in the morning, and I have had some trouble with I forgot my mouse. So it's early in the morning, so what am I doing? A mouse, I'm borrowing a mouse. It doesn't work that great, but it does the best I can, and let me get started. We're over here in the Sifra Tzniota, and you have to excuse the shadows because the way the lights work over here, it's up above, and it catches my camera. So we'll do the best we can here. We're on a phrase here. This is a phrase that you found. Let's see, where did I see it? Where is this phrase? I think it's a Tehillim. Lo aver ba'aish v'lo yashiv adam. So it translates, it says, no man ever traveled through there, and no man settled there. It's two different words. One is ish, one is adam. They both mean the same thing, let's say, in our language. What's the idea over here? Now, let's have a little bit of light over here. Okay, a little bit. Best I can do. So what we're really concerned over here is about the word Eretz. Eretz lo overball. What is Rebbe Shimon trying to tell us? That this is a land that nobody ever went there, nobody settled there. Where is this? So he says the Pirush says, V'yesh l'tzayin od lebir HaZohar. This is another Pirush. The Eretz Ha'amor b'pasuk hu atzmos zer anpin is really talking about the essence, that is the asmos, really the light itself is of the Zion Tachtonus, the Malchus Adam Gadma. Previously he had mentioned the possibility, according to the Risruk, and perhaps the Ramaz, I remember, he says that there was talking about the Malchus of Ak, which is a very, very high place, which was also known as the Reish of the Lo Isyada, because in Atik, in a Partzuf, which we call Atik Yamin, which is tremendously Benimi, there the Reish is unknowable. That's because it really refers to a formation which is almost not existent at all. It's the original screening of the light of the Ein Sof. So he said, but it is, and its lowest part. But he says it's not just the lowest part; it's the zat of the lowest part, as if the malchus of Adam Kadmon had 10 spheres, which let's say it does, and the lowest 7 of those spheres, which are called the zat, the zayin tachtonos, the malchus of Adam Kadmon. So he said, Rei L'Cholon is going to be more on this, Arusham, where it explains over there. Over there, he talks about it at length. So let's go over and let's see a little bit more. Od, so we have a number Dalet on that. Okay, there's a number Dalet, and that's going to come down, and it's going to get us into this lighter print. Let's see how close we can get to be able to see it. It's a little bit out of the shade. Od yesh lomer the dikta de Erik Anpin nirmaz b'pasuk zeh is reference. This is talking about the beard of Erik Anpin. That's what it means when it says Eretz. But he used the chapasach b'midbar, because the topic is really traveling through the midbar. The Hashem took us through the midbar, through the desert. Kamosha Amr Sham Hamolach Osana b'midbar, who I could try and get the verb for this, who caused us to travel, that's not the right word, who carried us or who traveled us, that would be more like English, through the desert. And into a realm that no man had gone before. But in the midbar, so the whole idea of midbar, Roma's the Erik Anpin, is a reference to Erik Anpin, which is Shuhu Lamala Mebechidas Adam. It's higher than the concept of Adam. Now you need to have a definition of what Adam means, but he means it's beyond that. So it's a reference there in detail. He says, where it says, Midbar, who Adam. So Midbar is actually above the concept of Adam. So first you know what Adam is. Midbar Adam. Sham. Shuhu Lumala Ma'ala Mebechinas Adam Elyon Shuhu Hakise. So now we've been talking about the Kisei in our Shiurim on Kaddish, where we're talking about the receptacle that's able to receive the light from up above. In other words, a thicker part. Wherever you have a light, which is, and these are the lights of consciousness. These are the lights of genius. These are the lights of seichel that we're talking about here, that are really imperceivable, but they're there, very strong. He says Adam. So he says, let me go back. Shehu lomala ma'ala bebechidas Adam, which is up above, much up above, the concept of Adam elyon she'ala kisei, who's now sitting on the kisei. In other words, something less physical. It's beyond that. Misham nitza lichiyot bechinas keser, and so therefore extends out lichiyot bechinas a keser. It's like a keser, ala rosh mochim, which is on the head of the mochim. V'inyan da'rabedech v'machab b'sifra d'sniuta. V'yesh perik reish, v'reish perik be where the phrase is biyaki ruso, where it talks about its precious glory, this unbelievable glory. Haki kesir v'lo over bo ish v'lo v'yashev adam sham. So to get to that upper glory, so to speak, that yaki ruso, it's impossible to reach that place because no man can go there. Sham levar hu, with this one exception. Lo over bo ish v'lo yashev adam sham levar hu, with this one exception. So what's the exception? Pirish Adam hu b'zer anpin. So let's talk about this concept. There's something beyond zer anpin. So he said Pirish Adam is the concept of zer anpin, below be'erik anpin. It's not talking about the pneumius of zer anpin. Vav b'zer anpin einun nikra Adam is only called Adam. Ella from his nose downwards. So up above, meaning from the nose, which is approximately, let's see, trying to think, it's below the metzach, of course, but only from there downwards where there's some perception of something more physical that you could see Adam. And why is that? But above the nose, he means it's imperceivable. Adam b'ku b'zer anpin, v'lo be'erik anpin, v'af b'zer anpin, enu nikra Adam, and even zer anpin, who could be called, let's say, Adam? Ela mechachotim, he's only talking about calling that from the nose downwards. I mean, in other words, it gets more physical. The bechinas mitzvah, when we talk about the forehead, hu bechinas ki lo adam hu. That's the concept that this is not an Adam. Now, still, we need a definition of Adam. One of the definitions could be zeranpin. So he says like this. So he says, he quotes this pasuk, so as we see the development coming down of the spheres of the Atzilus, the haboim bechinas gimel kavim that come in the concept of three lines, hu hanikra parts of Adam lamala. This is called the parts of the three lines. Is called the parts of Adam. In other words, that separation into a balance scale, so to speak, and flowing right, left, center. Masha Ein came to bechinas keser. But when we talk about keser, which is really Erik Anpin, shehol lamal adayin bechinas his chalkul v'ishtalshlos. In other words, it's above. The concept of three lines means there's some division that took place. There's already been a Gevordik element that separated them into right, left, center. But this is a place where there's no separation. He said, of love, mikol inun midos igu kolo. So all of these midos that we're talking about, that is from the three lines, which would be the Zayin Tachtonos, which would be Chesed Gevurah Tiferes, that's a Chod Yesod, and Malchus, let's say we'll see like that, the right, left, and center, Hachad Bagadati. He lo adam ku lehinachem, because he's not a man to regret. It's a phrase that's put onto Hashem Yisbarach. He said because the whole thing works, the system of the universe is working on the basis of the three lines. But the inspiration for it, the keser of it, is not part of the three lines. It's beyond the three lines. It's like a desert. Like we said, there's no left. So if there's no left, it means there's no right. So it's all completely oneness there. So it doesn't have any changes in it, which would be like the aspect of man. So it moves, and like we said, we've seen a place we had this word maskala that we talked about before, which is the balance scale. The nikra midbar, but here it's called by the name midbar, desert, it's empty. Midbar. Nothing grows, nothing is differentiated, it is beyond differentiation. So also in this bechina, there's no concept here of planting and things growing, which means that there are very small changes in the substance of it that could grow something. So shinuyim katanos. Let's see if we got this on the page now. Well, we're way down there. We missed a lot of this. Let's go back to here so we can bring it back up. For inyan, so he said, let's go to the inyan is this. So the concept is that Atzilus itself is in 3 lines. But we're talking about something beyond the 3 lines. This is the upper system of light up above, the right line, left line, middle line. Masha Ein came to Bechinas Kesser, but when you go to Kesser, that this is talking about, I guess he's saying like this, is we have the concept of Chabad Chagad Nai, with the Chochmah being the Das, Chesed Gevurah Teferes, Nezachod Yesod. Those are all divided into 3 lines. The 3 lines were called Chacham Bagadati. So those 3 lines which incorporate all of that. But this is beyond that. Masha Ein came to Bechinas Kesser, because Kesser is not part of the Chabad, it comes before the Chabad. So he says it's not in all of these midos that is incorporated. And said in regards to the kilo adam because it's not a man to be comforted. So in other words, it's beyond thinking about, well, the right line is comforting, let's say, or the middle line or the right line are comforting. It doesn't have that. It's beyond that. It's before that. Lists smola b'chayatika, which says that there's no differentiation between right, left, up, down, inside, out. None of that. Because in the Adam concept, you have a right, left, center. You have already divided up and flowing and working together in a system. Sometimes it's chesed, sometimes it's gevura. Midbar, so it comes out of this concept midbar, desert. Midbar. Where nothing grows, nothing is planted. So now we're talking about what? What bechina are we talking about? We're talking about the word eretz, which means land. So what land are we talking about? He says this is a land, lo avibal ish, that no man ever passed into it or traveled through it, maybe that's a word, below Yashiv Adam, and no man settled there. So in other words, the concept of Adam, which he's giving us, is the concept of differentiation. It does not exist in the Kesser. The Kesser is pure motivation of some sort. So he said, which are very small, small changes. Shinuyim katanos v'gedolos. Some of them are small, some of them are big. So he said, in other words, but it means change. And let's go on. Let's just look a little bit more here at the top, and we'll finish off. Let me see if I can think that we need that. So he says, Ad kan v'ayin sham b'arichos. So he goes in different places where we're going to see more of this idea. V'agav. So he says here he wants to put this little idea in there, just so if you like that. Then he wants to throw you a little monkey wrench here. He says, "V'agav netzayin the divra yafasha." What does he say? L'holon, we're going to see this over in Perik Gimel, the Sif Hey. He says, "Shabir the dikna dezer anpen nikra eretz." Over there, we're not talking about Kesser and Erik anpen and benimius. We're talking about Adam, or Eretz, really refers to what? The beard of Zer anpen. Because why? Because it covers over clothes. The Malchus of Eric Anpin, Ein Sham, and Be'urim, we're going to see it coming up. So that's the shir today. This is Baruch Fleischman. This is the Tikkun Elevator Kolo.